Hey, Phil from the future here. I recommend round 2 in this video versus mono black control. It's pretty wild. Enjoy the show. Hey folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for another legacy video. Today's video is sponsored by both cardsphere.com and moxfield.com, and we'll take a look at them a little bit later on. So today I got a tier 3 donation deck list from Azumarian, who wanted me to play Loam Pox. Now, conceptually, I want to just kind of talk about Pox style deck lists. They took a major blow recently with the advent of the initiative to Magic Online, because conceptually, a Pox deck wants to drag the game on for a long time, and Loam Pox in particular wants to like recycle Wastelands and Urza Saga from the graveyard, and like you'd really like that turn counter to be like 7 or above. And the initiative says, haha, what if the turn count was 4 or something in that ballpark? So we're going to take a look at our starting deck list here. And I made some pretty drastic changes this time around, which I was allowed to do because it's a tier 3, which means make this work to the best of your ability. So, generally speaking, in case you're not familiar with Loam Pox, the idea is to use Life from the Loam to rebuy these super relevant lands, usually the Wastelands and Urza's Sagas in the current shell, although there's usually other utility lands built in as well. And you're backed by the traditional kind of mono black good stuff of Hymn to Tourach, Thoughtseize, Liliana of the Veil, and so forth. And when I first got this deck list, I was like, yeah, I think I can make this work. And as time went on, I went, wait a second, every single thing in this deck basically has the same problem. And that's that they want the game to go on forever. Urza Saga in this deck list is frequently not going to be an early thing that you can just fully rely on, because in the first couple of turns, you want to be disrupting your opponent in some way, because your Urza Saga tokens are going to be kind of small. You want to win with Urza Saga by bringing it back and having inevitability. This isn't, an 8-cast style deck list, an affinity style deck list, where your Urza Saga tokens are just going to be 7/7s, 8/8s, and they just steamroll your opponent. Similarly, Liliana of the Veil doesn't technically win a game, right? It just drags that game on further. And Uro in this deck list is not something that I'm going to be able to do early, both because the cards in the graveyard are going to be hard in a lot of cases, either because I'm taking things out because of Life from the Loam, or because I don't have Life from the Loam to dredge. And kind of because of this, like, Uro is going to be slower than normal. And if we kind of look at the mana base, there's a lot of things that don't contribute to Uro pips. So here is my proposed fixed, air quotes, fixed deck list, and we'll see how it ends up doing. My good friend Brian, aka Bosh and Roll, recently played a Loam Pox video of his own, and he shoved some initiative creatures in. Now, he played Vicious Battle Rager, which I think is the wrong one to pick. I'm going to be playing Passageway Seer instead. So, my rationale here is I want a way to take the initiative back, and I want some sort of snowballing card advantage engine or threat that is just a little bit faster. Passageway Seer, the turn that you play it, is effectively a 3/3. It'll become a 4/4, then a 5/5, and so on and so forth. And since I'm a little slow to get going in a lot of games, the lifelink on this card should also be very relevant in helping me stabilize. If I have things that give me great inevitability, then if I have something that helps me survive to that inevitability, that should help out a lot. So, my goal here is to play the same general shell that we were just looking at, but we're going to remove the blue. And doing so should smooth out my mana, and I think Passageway Seer is going to be a faster Uro in that it provides me with a similar degree of card advantage and hopefully inevitability as well. But if we Dark Ritual out an initiative card, that gives us a different angle to steal games from. If our opponent is settling in for a long game, and then I go, oh, Mox Diamond, discard a land, play a land, Dark Ritual, turn 1 Passageway Seer, forge it up on turn 2, and it's still accumulating counters beyond the forge, I think that gives us a cool angle of attack. I've had to add a few more basic lands into the deck list. I'm up to 3 basic lands to make sure that we can fetch some out with the first step of the Undercity, and we'll see how that goes. I am begrudgingly playing a Takenuma in this deck list. This is a card that, like, everyone is like, why aren't you playing Takenuma? Every time that I play a Legacy deck with black cards in it. In my experience, this card just, like, hasn't been great in Legacy. It's just so incredibly slow. But it's a way to get an initiative creature back from the graveyard via Life from the Loam, so maybe it'll actually work here. Now, Asumarian's original sideboard plan had a bunch of Fluster Storms and blue counterspells. Since we've dropped blue, I'm going to go the Sphere of Resistance and additional discard route to disrupt things. And I'm going a little heavier on Graveyard Hate than I need to, and I want to explain why. Surgical Extraction is supposed to be used alongside Thoughtseize and Hymn to Tourach to go and rip certain cards out of combo decks, you know, ripping a Doomsday or a Thassa's Oracle deck or card out of a combo deck, for example, will really severely hinder their game plan. But I still wanted Graveyard Hate that was searchable via Urza Saga, as like that's a thing that I very much want to do. I've been playing against a lot of very fast graveyard combo decks on Magic Online, so I wanted to be ready for them. Alright, that's a long deck tech, but let's go ahead and hop into the games here. If you're new and you like what you see, please consider subscribing, and if you're regular, throw me a like before this video begins. It is the easiest way to support my content for free. Let's battle. My first opening hand is an awkward one, because I have double Smallpox, but effectively only a single land after I use a Mox Diamond here. This is a pretty solid hand versus a creature-based deck with the ability to Sudden Edict the first thing out of the way, and then eventually have Smallpox and Liliana of the Veil. I'm borderline on mulliganing this one. I'll have 2 lands in graveyard for if I rip a Life from the Loam. I do have a lot of mana sources. Lands are great draws. Dark Ritual is a great draw. I think I reluctantly keep this one. Like, I'm not happy, and a prismatic ending on this Mox Diamond would be a major pain in the butt. We'll see. Hopefully it works out. Urza's Saga is going to drastically change out how I play this hand because now I want to Wasteland that, but it means my Mox Diamond is now incredibly awkward. Should I Smallpox instead? Mox Diamond, Wasteland, fetch a land, cast Smallpox, do additional damage to my opponent. Have a Mox Diamond in play. Be worse against a Force of Will. That's probably okay. Probably okay. Mox Diamond, discard Wasteland. Pox. I think I just discard my 4-drop here. It's just not super realistic that I'm ever going to play that card, because I'm going to like dump a Liliana into play in the not too distant future, hopefully. Oh no. Abort mission. The plan has failed. We're playing against Painter, which means making my opponent discard that card is potentially very helpful to them. Alright, land. Nope. Okay. We have missed on mana sources 2 draws in a row. That's not good. One-shot Sniper is not the scariest thing to get welded in and out of play, but it's definitely a nuisance. Oh, wow. We're just welding that into play at sorcery speed? Okay. Alright, I've missed again. This is why I was very hesitant to keep this hand. But I am on a very large number of mana sources, counting Dark Ritual. That is honestly just cruel. Makes Smallpox pretty good. But that is a flop here. It has so much mana. I'm just going to get attacked 3 times and die. I don't think I'm going to have a lot to say about that. Lightning Bolt. Wall. Phyrexian Dragon Engine. Okay. Alright, we got aggroed down by Painter real fast here. And again, rule. I will concede. Yeah, so we had 22, 25 mana sources as hits. We missed on 4 draws. Sylvie. Okay. I like Plague Engineer, I think, for taking out goblins. If I want to play Plague Engineer, Smallpox will very noticeably get worse. But Smallpox And, like, the discard is already a little bit dubious because my opponent has so many, like, welder effects. So I think I'm interested in playing more towards the board, and we'll probably end up playing both of these cards. The awkward thing about Grafdigger's Cage is it does say creature cards in graveyards and library can't enter the battlefield, but it doesn't say anything about non-creature permanents. So if my opponent is playing some sort of God Pharaoh's statue type card, you know, that's no good for me. All right, what am I doing here? I have okay tools for the matchup. I think the hymns are going. Those are going to get me Plague Engineers as a starting point. And now there's like this Plague Engineer, Smallpox, anti-synergy. I mean, I board out Smallpox. What does it look like if I do this? How many of these do I get in? All of them. I can keep Thoughtseize as an early piece of disruption. My opponent has so many creatures that I have to kill, but they'll just come back. Yeah, the Smallpox, Plague Engineer, anti-synergy is a thing. This is going to have Boseiju Life from the Loam available very quickly. I'm very in on this. Let's drop my basic land, play a Mox Diamond, discard a Nurturing Peatland, and I think I'll just Life from the Loam that back immediately, because that gives me my next land drop while also having a Boseiju activation available, or if that is indeed relevant. Ooh. Goblin Engineer, which is a 1/2. They're going for the Phyrexian Dragon Engine. It's pretty reasonable. I think I will dredge this. Found an Urza Saga and a Bayou. I just want to Assassin's Trophy this. I don't really think so. I think I just want to take out that land immediately. Let's go ahead and Boseiju that. My opponent can convert it into a red source. Yep. Now, next turn, Life from the Loam is a draw 3, and I can start playing. I mean, that's fine. Another Engineer. This could be awkward for me. Alright, I am just taking 1, so that means my opponent doesn't have a Spirit Guide. Or no, they don't have an artifact in play, even. Oh, nice. So, let's not let these get going. And I'm going to take a Wasteland, a Boseiju, and an Urza Saga here. Nice, draw 3. I've already played my land drop, so I'm not getting another thing going. My opponent's got Engineers. They can do cool things with them. Ooh. I hope they don't have Lion's Eye Diamond. Oh, I guess that doesn't matter. Alright. So my opponent can discard their hand to draw 3 cards. And that was pretty good. They got rid of a bunch of junk there. I can take some chip damage here without it mattering very much. I don't think I need to Loam right now. And Sudden Edict and Assassin's Trophy. Sudden Edict is a little awkward with the Phyrexian Dragon Engine there. Yeah, it's probably okay. I can also just keep going after their lands via Wasteland and control the board more slowly. I think I'm going to try to clear the board, though. See what they think of this. Okay, the Dragon Engine is going away. Let's start taking these out. Gives my opponent a little bit more mana to work with. Could have Boseju'd this and then Edict 1. It'd end up slightly better for me. Twin-Shot Sniper is fine. Take some initial damage. And they can convert that into a Phyrexian Dragon Engine if they would like. I don't think I do that here. So let's go ahead and Wasteland their open red source. When my opponent tries to convert that... Oh, right, this is non-creature. Or no, sorry, the sacrifice is done as a part of the cost. That's fine. I'll just destroy this a different way. Then let's go ahead and Boseiju that out of play. Giving my opponent a bunch more mana to work with. I mean, I want to strip this tomb. I mean that I want to strip the tomb. Like 5 just lets them play a Fury, which I'm not super well equipped to deal with right now. I'm just looking for like a Liliana or another Sudden Edict to just fully clear the board. I think once I can fully clear the board, I can just use my tools to take over the game. Inner's fine. A Red Elemental Blast wouldn't be great right now, though. Oh, wow, my opponent's attacking. Does that mean they have the Blast? I mean they have the Blast. Alright. Let's pull the trigger on this. Have the Blast. They have the Blast. Attempt to Life from the Loam. Getting back Passageway, a Wasteland, and maybe a Takenuma. Alright, there is the Blast. They did not want to see. And now we are in scary territory, where if my opponent has another artifact that they can put into play, they might have enough mana to just kill me. Alright. There's a Phyrexian Dragon Engine, which will be a draw 3. There's a Grindstone in the graveyard, FYI. So that's bad. I take a good amount of damage here. Ultimately ending at 9. Yeah, really needed my opponent to have Goblin Welder instead of Goblin Engineer here. They have put the Grindstone in play. I can loam and get rid of one of these. Does that matter? So if I loam, get rid of Grindstone, my opponent will have 2, 4, 6, 7 mana. They have another artifact they can win. You want to get rid of the Grindstone, because otherwise they can activate Grindstone and then put in Painter. So it's just a question of, do they have another artifact in their 3 cards? Or would I like to try to draw towards, like, Pithing Needle? I guess making them have another artifact is reasonable, because if I can survive 1 turn, I can get Pithing Needle off Urza Saga, unless I mill it right here. Did not mill it right there. Alright, Life from the Loam, target Boseiju, Takenuma, out of Bayou. Alright, tap 2. Oh my god, I didn't click on the Boseiju. I redid my mana and then didn't do it properly. Okay. I don't think I'm winning this one anyway. Like, my opponent has the inevitability here, but that was a pretty savage misclick. Oh. Today's video is sponsored by Cardsphere.com. Cardsphere is a service that allows you to buy, sell, and most importantly, trade your Magic cards with other people and game stores from around the world. As you can see here, they are doing a lot of business. They only take a very small fee, 3%, and if you decide you want cash instead of cards, you can also get paid out via PayPal for a small cut. P.S. They also have articles, so please consider checking them out. Well, I think we have too much mana here. This is going to be a keep. I don't need the Dark Ritual here, because I can just Mox Diamond, discard it, an additional land of some kind on turn 1, and then play him. So Dark Ritual can go back here. So let's discard the Takenuma first. And just make my mana a little bit more stable here. I believe I'm getting a basic swamp here, so that I cannot be wastelanded in this first turn cycle before I get my Life from the Loam going. Oh ho. Bonus deck is probably cool. Basic Swamp. Basic Swamp. Could be one of my deck lists. Who knows? So let's loam back some lands. I'm now less expecting Wasteland, but it's pretty free for me to just fetch another basic here, since I already have black, black, and even black, black, black. So I'm going to have Currency Converter plus Liliana of the Veil going as of next turn. And I'll probably even just dredge Life from the Loam. Alright. Opposition Agent is a thing that I need to be aware of in this turn cycle. I think I am just going to do some digging here. There's another swamp in the graveyard. Let's play a land drop. Play a Liliana of the Veil. I will plus a Liliana of the Veil. Discarding a Life from the Loam. Now, this can get exiled with Currency Converter, and then we can just put it back into our graveyard. We're not losing this life from the loam forever. This also just gives me a 2/2 for if my opponent does flash in an opposition agent here. Nice. Now my opponent can just have a Snuff Out or a Sudden Edict to take out this token. Actually, Snuff Out won't work. It is a black token. Urza Saga is good. I would like to find a Wasteland for that. Ooh. Yeah, that's scary. Alright, no attack. My opponent saw the currency converter coming. Oh, let's go ahead and make a 2/2. I think I will go ahead and dredge. The upside of finding Wasteland off this dredge is insane. And I did find it. So I get 1, 2, 3 cards here. Pay the appropriate amounts of mana. We'll go ahead and Wasteland my opponent. I'm just going to make him plus. It might be one of mine. So yeah. Go ahead and do this thing. I've already played a land. We'll call it a turn here. The reason I was plussing is I want to make it less likely that my opponent can just have land plus Dalthy Voidwalker next turn and put me into a very threatened position. The opposition agent doesn't really matter there. So I know the sorts of things that my opponent is going to have. My Wasteland plus Life from the Loam stuff is very good against Urza Saga. I have Sudden Edicts, Lilies, Grist as removal for the creatures. Passageway Seer is pretty good, although awkward versus Dalthy Voidwalker. I'm probably interested in Assassin's Trophy and Boseiju. I might play another Thoughtseize, just kind of depending on how things look. Pithing Needle is a great thing to be able to search up as well. Yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with how my cards line up for this matchup conceptually. Smallpox is also a beating here. We won't be boarding those out for sure. Thing is that my opponent can play Chalice of the Void on turn 1 when they're on the play, so boarding in extra Thoughtseizes isn't great against that. I go down a land here for Boseiju, or is Boseiju a spell? Boseiju might be a spell. Maybe we're not getting Thoughtseizes in here. I can trim a Life from the Loam, since my opponent could start the game with a Leyline in play. I still think I want to have them around for the games like the one that we just saw, but maybe I'm not always going that way. I trim all the Life from the Loams, just blank my opponent's graveyard hate. Yeah, maybe I do when I'm on the draw. Makes my Smallpox more awkward though. Let's get rid of all my Life from the Loams on the draw. I think I want him on the play. I don't know. I'm just gonna make up a number, but I'm going to guess in 50% or more of my opponent's games they have one of either Leyline of the Void in their opener or a Dalthy Voidwalker on turn 1 or 2. And if that's gonna happen that frequently, maybe relying on critical part of my engine is just wrong. Yeah, this is beautiful. This covers my bases pretty well. No initial Leyline. Alright, there is a Chalice. I believe this is just so... yeah. Especially after my opponent mulliganed here. I do believe that I am supposed to play Mox Diamond in case my opponent draws a second Chalice and decides to put one on 0. And I'm just going to get rid of the thing that's bad against opposition agent. Notably, my opponent has taken themselves off of Dark Ritual opposition agent lines here. So I don't need to be worried about that in the short term, at the very least. And I believe I play Liliana of the Veil next turn over just making Urza Saga construct tokens. Let's go Bayou Pass. This leaves up Assassin's Trophy for if something happens. I don't really want to Assassin's Trophy something unless it's a real nuisance. That would qualify as a real nuisance, I think. I just don't want to give my opponent the extra lands after they've mulliganed specifically. But if I get rid of that, I clear the board, and then my Liliana of the Veil can take out a follow-up threat rather than just minus immediately. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's strong. That lets me go Mox Diamond, discard Wasteland, play Urza's Saga, play Liliana, Liliana plus, and now I have something to do with my mana for the future, as well as a check on a creature. Alright, my opponent did have a second Chalice and opted not to play it on 0. Which might have bitten them in the butt, honestly. Okay. I now need a land. That's quite strong. They're going for a tutor. Be a liquid metal coating to attack this Urza's Saga. Be a Tormod's Crypt. Yeah, it is liquid metal coating. Okay. Any land drop here. F. Yeah. That's rough. I'll do this. I'm not gonna get to tutor with this Urza Saga. De La Vie. Now I can hopefully still just ultimate this Liliana at some point and take out the Karn in that capacity. But life's bad, and I can't top deck a Pithing Needle right now. Well, that's a land that's kind of protected. Got rid of a Helm. I don't have to fetch with this because there is an Urborg in play. Now, my opponent can opt to plus on liquid metal coating and attack my Liliana so that I cannot ultimate her. Yeah, that's fine. Probably have to just ultimate Liliana immediately here. Cruel. Absolutely cruel. Although, maybe this works out. So, let's separate these into 2 piles. Karn's in one, liquid metal coating's in another. Karn and Chalice need to be in different piles. So I guess my goal is to get my opponent to keep the Karn pile. This pile looks much, much more attractive than this pile. So I think I do it like this, and then I Pithing Needle Karn. I think that's a plan. It's supposed to be Urborg for one of those, though. And I have different. I maybe even could have made it Karn and 1 swamp and gone harder. I wonder if Karn 1 swamp is better there. Or Karn Urborg, actually. Ugh. Alright. Castle Locthwain is a reasonable card that is not going to do anything right now. I've used 2 Wastelands already. I am not in the best shape here. I mean, that helps with the pressure. Yeah, that's fine. We'll just take that out immediately. Burn counter's at 9. Oh, wow, my opponent's going for another Chrome Box. Oh, I see. They just don't have very many targets. That's fine, I guess. This is a great card that, like, in a non-Karn position there, would have just got me another land drop, been a 3/3 that could have traded with the construct while keeping the initiative. Or I could have taken 1 hit and then grown this creature the following turn. Okay. Yeah. Chalice is gone. This is a really bad Sudden Edict, though, if that's one of my opponent's 2 remaining cards. An opposition agent? Oh. If I had left this as Urborg, this would have been a Bayou. But it's not. So I get a +1/+1 counter on this. Oh, no Sudden Edict, no opposition agent. We're checking some good boxes so far. Wow. That turns that into a 4/4. I can block this and keep the initiative if I want, but I think I'm just supposed to take the hit, let my opponent take the initiative, and then try to end up with the greater overall creature. You can have a swamp, that's fine. Him is cool. I guess I just do that pre-combat. In case my opponent's last card is like an unexpected opposition agent or something. It was another Karn. I will attack my opponent as to take the initiative. So I take the initiative. I am absolutely just going to forge up this creature. I want to have the better creature here. Then at end step, I have the initiative, which means I get 1 more +1/+1 counter. So, like, we can fight back and forth over this, but I'm going to have the lifelinker at the end of the day, which I think is ultimately going to favor me. Like, my creature always gets 1 bigger each turn. My opponents won't. Okay, yeah, they're going for the scry. They're not going to try to fight me in terms of creature size here. And they bottomed. If I would like, I can kill Karn this turn. I do not think I would like, though. Attack you for 6. Alright, there is an opposition agent. That's fine. I still gain 6 from this. And I will go ahead and just fetch out with this here. I will pick up a Bayou. I don't need to sorcery speed activate this for any reason, I don't think. Now, I won't scale up my creature here. I'm going to remain a 6/6. Oh, actually, there was a reason to do this. It's if I draw exactly Urza Saga. That was a misplay on my end. Thinking about playing around potential opposing discard effects. Alright, I'll take 5, go to 11. If I'm punished for my mistake. I am not. Fox Diamond isn't really good here. Let's attempt to Rumble. Another chump blocker. This is definitely starting to get a little scary. I gain 6 here. I can play Currency Converter, but I can't activate it because of Karn. I think I will just go ahead and draw a card immediately. It does cost me some life. Alright, there is an Urza Saga. It's fantastic. I will go ahead and play that out. And we'll call it a turn. My opponent now gets a Menace creature token. And that's something that can chump block for them. Oh, wow. That was not on my bingo card for today. So they get to nuke my graveyard. I've already played around that, though, by boarding out the life from the loams. Alright, opponent staying aggressive with their Construct token, rather than trying to trade for my Passageway Seer. That makes a removal spell that I draw quite good. Or it can be Dark Ritual. I believe it's correct to just fire off Dark Ritual and just draw a card with Castle Locthwain immediately. So let's do that. I just put this into my graveyard. I think I put this into my graveyard to save the point of life. By the fact that it could grow Urza Saga later. Let's draw. Okay. Attempt to hit my opponent here. They're presumably going to chump block to keep the initiative. Alright, I am correct. I still am gaining 6, so I am not in any immediate danger of dying here. And next turn's pretty good for me. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll have 5 artifacts, then 6 artifacts. I won't get a 7th. This is spells or abilities, right? Yeah. They've got the Marilyn. Oh, they're going for the Dauthi Voidwalker. Sure. Marilyn, Ashiok. Oh no, it's your opponent's control. Marilyn, Ashiok doesn't actually work. JK. Alright, my opponent is now holding back. I can exile some more cards, that's fine. That does cute things with Dauthi Voidwalker. Oh, they can get a Passageway Seer. That's good. Yeah. I am going to have the superior creatures in combat, though, by quite a bit. So let's go ahead and make another creature here. These are 6/6s, which is a very relevant number here. I think I'm just going at my opponent's dome here. It's a little bit tempting to try and take out Karn, though. Taking out Karn opens up my currency converter, which is really strong at this stage in the game. Let's send these at my opponent. A Sudden Edict is a bit of a pain in the butt. I think if my opponent had that, they were already supposed to fire it off. Okay, that's very good for me. Yeah, nice. That was a chump block. So I take the initiative. I will now trap my opponent, drain them for 5. They go to 4. We'll go ahead and make this as a land drop, and then I can draw a card with Castle Locthwain. At end step, this scales up more. This has been a crazy game. I'm also not in any danger of milling out, just in case you are keeping an eye on that. Okay, so they're going to attempt to pick up their own Passageway Seer here, which is fine. Okay, they took that back on principle, and then we ended up winning the match. That game was awesome, but what a slog. I wonder if my opponent could have won this one I forget if it was a Passageway Seer or a Construct Token. I think it was a Passageway Seer. They had the ability to trade with that one turn and opted not, keeping their Construct around. I wonder if they could have swung this game in the other direction if they had made a different decision. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, which is a deck hosting website, and I'm really a big fan of using these for my EDH decks in particular, because you can use these little blue bubbles to keep track of which cards you do and don't have when you're starting to build your decks. And if you have one, but not that exact art that you have up, it'll be in a gray bubble instead. And this has just been so convenient as I kind of sort through my collection and figure out what I need to purchase for my decks. All right. I'm the draw. I'm on the draw. I think I keep this hand. This might be one of those hands that wakes up and just fucking chooses violence, though. Like, oh, don't chalice me. Don't chalice me. Oh, it might be worse than chalice. If this is an initiative create, okay, that's fine. Like, this is bad. I lost a lot of the raw power of this hand, but an initiative creature turn 1 was something that I was not ready for. I'll play a Swamp and Pass. And the big question here is, are we playing against mono white initiative or are we playing against like a red stompy deck? I probably find out immediately. Yeah. That's a white plume. This is a good news, bad news situation. The good news is I can definitely kill that creature. The bad news is that if I kill this creature, they still have the initiative, and I don't have any creature right now to stop that. I mean, Mox Diamond's cool. I think I want to Sudden Edict this creature away rather than Smallpox it. Because if I don't kill this, they probably go down the Forge side, and then I just take 5 damage, and I can Smallpox their next creature. Alright, let's Mox Diamond. I don't want to take damage off my lands right now. Do that. Let's make this land drop, and pass. After Forge, I will Sudden Edict this creature. Nice. And I'm going to go ahead and do that just immediately here. I don't want to get got by my opponent just like playing a land drop and then randomly having a flash creature such as Cathar Commando or no, I guess that's not going to happen. It's Sudden Edict. Okay. Thalia's fine. Thalia's going to eat Smallpox because my opponent tapped their Caracas. I think the land that I sacrifice is Yavimaya here. Play that. Float some mana. Make black. Smallpox. I'll discard a dead card. And the reason that I want to get rid of Yavimaya is I don't want my opponent's Ancient Tombs to be able to tap without hurting them. Okay. They got rid of a Solitude. I'll take 5 from Trap here. And then we're still in pretty bad shape. I effectively have a 0-card hand. Hey, there's that Ancient Tomb that I just kind of played around. Honestly, though, like, why is Karn in that deck? Like, I think it is very bad that Karn is in that deck. Karn is not a creature that helps you take the initiative. Karn is not a hit for the Undercity. Karn is a incredibly slow card in what is otherwise a very fast deck. That feels quite bad to me. Am I still going to lose to it? Yes, but like I've got a pretty good number of reps with initiative, and I don't think Karn makes this deck better. Yeah, Lattice is fine. Like, just imagine if I was actually just taking damage here rather than getting real redraws. Urza Saga is a pretty big deal right now, but we'll probably just get outclassed by whatever my opponent finds off Throne of the Dead 3. Yeah, White Plume is very good. I am very well, not very actively. When I can build my decks in a way that they don't have Karn, I try to do so. Oh no, is it a Seasoned Engineer too? Alright, I'm comfortable scooping it up there. My Urza Saga is not going to outclass both of those together, no matter what I top deck. Okay, so here's the bad news. The bad news is I knew ahead of time that we were going to be bad against the initiative. I have some ways to take it back, some amount of removal, but my opponent's deck is just at a much higher level, like power level threshold than mine is. So I can get a little bit more extra removal into my deck list. But generally speaking, I don't think I can win this matchup. Like, I have to get so lucky. Plague Engineers can sometimes trade with my opponent's creatures. Like, it's kind of nice versus Thalia and some of the X ones. My opponent has Chalice. I might need to use Thoughtseize and him to punch a hole in the initial hand to make it out of the first couple of turns. I'm going to go down on Life from the Loams. Smallpox just lines up so poorly versus the initiative. Like, killing the creature but leaving them with the initiative isn't a solution, as we just saw there. And I'm not smallpoxing. I could do something like board out the smallpox, board in some creatures that can kill their X1s, then get some of this other stuff in here. And pretty easily board out a Life from the Loam. Probably need both of these. I want to keep the Pithing Needle for Karn. I don't think so. Like, it's cool to be able to Pithing Needle Karn, but I think other things kill me faster and harder than Karn does. This has too much mana. Like, this has 2 initial removal spells, but is not going anywhere. This hand goes somewhere. I will keep this. Mox Diamond. Discard Castle Lochwain, so I can loam that back later. Play Bayou. Play Dark Ritual. Play Liliana. Next turn, I would like to make my land drop. That means throwing back Assassin's Trophy here. Alternatively, I can throw back the Mox Diamond, but I think I just want to have a bunch of mana available. All right. Castle Lochwain, Bayou, Dark Ritual, Liliana, Liliana plus. Or I guess it doesn't really matter what I throw back, because like it's getting discarded. This puts an extra land into graveyard for Life from the Loam purposes. I didn't know there was an alternate art like that. So a lot of time, I'm still just going to have the same problem, where my opponent just plays a turn 1 initiative creature, I kill it, and then they still just have the initiative. They go down the right side, and that will handily just beat my Liliana. Touch the Spirit Realm. Sure. Again, I would like to reiterate how bad I think this card is. Yep. So this Thoughtseize takes the Liquimetal Coating. I'll then plus take the Thalia, and we'll call it a turn. This Karn is still going to do bad things to me, but like my opponent could be taking up the initiative right now, which is an order of magnitude worse. Yes, I have very few cards in my deck that care about that. This is fine. I will just continue to attack my opponent's hand. Yep. This is probably a scenario where I am going to try to get the Liliana to 7. And then ultimate so that I keep this Planeswalker around. Alright, great. Land is very good here. Let's take out my opponent's last card. Nice. And then next turn, I can ultimate this Lily. And presumably get rid of the Karn. Might not even have to. I may just continue to plus, depending on what I draw. Okay, my opponent is playing out their cards, so that will not be the case. I will go ahead and just ultimate here. Okay. Let's ultimate. Take out your stuff. I think I'm interested in a split like this. My opponent can either keep white mana, or they can keep Karn. If they keep Karn, I will Wasteland City of Traders. Alright, they are keeping Karn. I will Wasteland City of Traders. My opponent has no mana sources in play, and a Karn that doesn't really do anything. Yeah, Torment's Crypt is fine. I don't need to do anything with that. I can just discard that card. My opponent junked a Chrome Mox, which was a dead draw. Yeah, like plus away. I'm still just going to continue to plus this card. Like, Sudden Edict is cool, but it's not cool enough for me to like not want to get rid of my opponent's cards. I don't want them to store up things so that when they eventually hit land drops, they can just play them out. Yep, this is, again, A-okay. Yep, wish I could play that. Care about Liliana's loyalty more or keeping this card? Probably keeping that card. I still have an onboard edict. Yep. Alright, fantastic. Now my opponent has an actual card in hand. The Karn does nothing. I'm probably just supposed to plus. I really want to put this in play, but I can't risk that being like a White Plume Adventurer and then my opponent top decks an Ancient Tomb. Yeah, absolutely. So we'll throw this on human. That will kill the Thalia-sized creatures. And should be able to take over this game in pretty short order. Yeah, sure. A Walking Ballista is fine. Don't really care about that. That's a speed bump in some capacity. Edict it out of the way. I'll edict it out of the way. You may deal 1 point of damage to my Liliana. Yep. Now that does matter. Like that does change some relevant math. Let's go ahead and poke Karn down. Karn's not doing a lot, but it's still worth killing. You know, there is an endgame Mycosynth Lattice that I do have to care about. Okay, yeah. So, like, reiterating how bad Karn is, my opponent played that Karn the Great Creator on turn 1. It is turn 11. My opponent activated that Karn 11 times. It did not win them the game. Okay? Don't play Karn in your initiative decks. I now have the information that my opponent is going to play Karn, and they are willing to just play Karn on turn 1. Like, they are willing to keep a hand that does that. So, does that mean that I want to change the number of Mox Diamonds that I'm playing, or does it mean that I want to play Pithing Needle? Probably means that I want to cheat the number of Mox Diamonds that I'm playing a little bit. The additional mana boost is really important to get me here, but I think I'm going to opt to play 1 extra land on the draw. Does this hand do anything? And when I say that, I mean specifically in the context of this matchup. Like, I can play a Hymn to Tourach on turn 2, but I might have already taken 10 to 15 points of damage by then. My opponent plays White Plume on turn 1. They attack for 5 on turn 2, 5 on turn 3, and I get trapped. Maybe this is as good as it's going to get, though. Like, the game where I'm on the draw is going to be much harder. I'm going to hope that my opponent keeps an awkward hand, and I realistically get to Hymn to Tourach them. This is a super little thing here, but I believe I should fetch on turn 1 because of Anointed Peacekeeper on Verdant Catacombs being annoying as this game goes really long. I don't think that's going to happen, but go ahead and just do that. Play out a Bayou. And now the hope is that my opponent just plays like a kind of crappy card this turn, so that I can safely Hymn to Tourach and then take out another creature from there. Yes. Thank you. Like, thank you for just fucking playing Karn instead of a good card. Like, my opponent is going to get a Liquid Metal Coating. I'm going to have them, like, cast that, and then I will Assassin Trophy the Karn afterwards. Yeah. Alright, Cavern is fine. My opponent will float their mana. There's the Liquid Metal Coating. Assassin Trophy Karn in response. Womp 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 womp. Yeah, so like, now I am so much more prepared to actually play a game of Magic. I'm going to get the chance to play Thoughtseize and Hymn to Tourach, pick apart the remainder of my opponent's hand, and then like try to win the game with a Passageway Seer. Yeah, these are not gonna matter. Take out Lauren. Lauren can be played earlier. All right, I'll drop a regular old Swamp here. Hymn to Tourach my opponent. I take Solitude and Amaria's Call. And now next turn, I can take the initiative. Like, I can take the initiative while playing Urza's Saga. My opponent needs a very good top deck this turn. I mean, that qualifies. That's a pretty good top deck, because that temporarily takes my Passageway Seer. But that's temporary. Plus 2 more, right? 2 more. Lol. Am I fine just playing this out? It starts the initiative game, but it seems like pretty easily the best thing that I can do here. Let's play this. Take the initiative. Get my final basic. Move to end step. Turn that into a 3/3. And then just hope that my opponent doesn't draw removal for my Passageway Seer. I'm in trouble if they do. But, like, they are hellbent. And I think I can be okay if they just draw a chump blocker. Okay. That's the land drop. Yeah, that's very bad. That allows them to forge immediately. That's very frustrating. Let's draw a removal spell. Okay. That helps a whole lot. Unfortunately, my opponent will just get rid of this. But I do have to try. I will drop a land. I have to pass my turn here. I can't beat that in combat. I get trapped, go to 9, and then be pretty close to dead. Okay. Don't think you need to play that out there. Okay. End of turn. Where's the Saga token? I can just play Takenuma and then play a new Passageway Seer. What are my bullets for Urza Saga right now? Currency Converter, Retrofitting Foundry, Pithing Needle. None of those really deal with this. If I take the initiative, I can forge this, turning it into a 5/5. That doesn't quite do it. I'll go to Lost Well instead. Alright. I think I'm interested in Currency Converter here. Play a Takenuma. Full 6 mana for this. I will take the initiative. I can forge this into a reasonably sized creature rather than a 3/3. If I do so, I'm better against the skeleton that I know is coming. I think I am going to forge here. Go to combat. Back for 3. I lose this creature. That's fine. I gain 3 life along the way. This is now a 5/5. Gonna eat some damage in combat here. We'll see how much. Alright, White Plume as their top card. That's not great for me. My discard is not going to do cool things against that. Alright. You take initiative. I can actually archives now. Worse than I thought. You can archives now to draw that, play that, and then just immediately Throne of the Dead 3. That was a very unfortunate reveal for me. How bad? Pretty bad. Yeah. Yeah, we were prepared to beat a 4/1 skeleton. We're not prepared for this. And now with 3 bodies and the Seasoned Dungeoneer getting to untap, I just don't think it's realistic that I can win. We'll try. We'll go ahead and loot. That's not going to do it. Yeah. If I attack, I'm in trouble. If I stay back defensively, these just attack through me. I am comfortable throwing in the towel here. So, like, I feel comfortable with what I said in the deck tech. Like, we're not going to beat the initiative deck. My opponent gave me every opportunity to beat them by going in on Karn multiple times, which is something that, like, they shouldn't have done for the matchup, I don't think, and they also, like, shouldn't have done in the deck building stage. But the power level gap between our decks is such that I can't punish their decisions. Okay. This is a hand of Magic the Gathering cards. I don't feel strongly that this does anything. However, I don't think I'm willing to mulligan it. I believe I just Pithing Needle Wasteland in the dark and just kind of keep this hand, assuming that I can string together something that's relevant in some capacity if my lands aren't getting destroyed. While I wish I had some early interaction for if we're playing against combo, this is a reasonable start versus a fair deck. Not a good start, a reasonable start. Uh-oh. Oh, this is less scary than I thought it was. This is going to be like some sort of like 8-cast or 8-cast adjacent deck list. That's way less scary than either an initiative or a combo deck. Yeah, Emery is bearable. I have a lot of top decks that beat an Emery. Oh. Ooh. Okay. The fact that my Pithing Needle was in my opening hand and I've already played it out when Pithing Needle is one of the cards that I most want right now is super awkward for me. I need to make a decision this turn about whether or not I'm going to try to win this game with Urza Saga Construct tokens, or whether or not I'm going to try to win this game with 2 Passageway Seers. I think my opponent is going to be too good at beating Urza Saga tokens since I don't have Shadow Spear. Like, assuming some sort of Psi-type card comes into play, that is just going to single-handedly beat me. So I think I'm going to go ahead and cast this Life from the Loam with no targets, with the intention of dredging it next turn and trying to find more stable mana for these 2 Passageway Seers. This is probably going to be a little bit slower than what my opponent is doing, and I will have to live in constant fear of an infinite combo. Pithing Needle, why? And like the Pithing Needle is on Wasteland. No, I'm fucked. Like, folks, it's been fun. I can't beat this. So this represents Grindstone. I can't stop that with a Wasteland. And Emery protects Painter from Edict very well. This may be the point that I consider just conceding this one. Like, realistically just conceding right here to not show my opponent literally another card from my deck. Because with Pithing Needle on Wasteland, I don't think I can cobble together a win through what my opponent has going on here. And there's literal no way they could know what deck that I'm on right now. We're in Wildtown, USA over here. I think I am going to concede here. Just gonna take a draw, concede, and just accept that, like, my opening play of Pithing Needle eliminated a lot of my outs. Ugh. Okay. I want Boseiju. I want Assassin's Trophy. I unfortunately don't have enough green in this deck to justify something like Force of Vigor. It would be super cool for this matchup. My discard spells aren't exactly amazing here. I'm probably going to keep Thoughtseize for early plays, but get rid of him to Tourach. Do I need Plague Engineer for Thopters? Oh, I hope I don't. I might. Smallpox. I'm going to swap out another land for Boseiju here. I think I'm going to get rid of my forest for that. It makes this slightly awkward. I think that's okay. That would get me these 4 cards to have some things that can attack graveyards. This is okay. This is just 100% and Wasteland and Boseiju and Urza Saga win a game on their own without me casting any other spells. This is such a fair keep. I'm on the play. I would like to try to do something more unfair on the play. Like, my Wasteland works on most of my opponent's lands, but if they just, like, drop an Emery or something, mill some artifact mana, like, this isn't going to be enough. I think I'm going to ship this one. This is painful. This does not have the mana to cast this Smallpox. I think I'm still keeping it and pitching the Passageway Seer. And I think the Smallpox becomes a slightly later gameplay, and we hope a Sudden Edict takes out an initial Emery. Okay. LED represents the ability to go very fast with a painter. Full Guide Lantern is a bit of the kick in the teeth. My opponent expecting me to be on Loam after just seeing Bayou Thing Needle? Or is this just in the main deck and they've left it? I don't know. They sure are playing a lot of cards, none of which are creatures for my Sudden Edict. Okay, if they're playing a Mox Opal, they're gonna drop a creature now. No. Okay, that means they have a counter spell, probably. Play my own Urza Saga. Little awkward. So by playing their Mox Opal, I think they have the improvised counterspell. Metallic Rebuke, I think is the name of it. But I definitely could be wrong there, because there's a couple of, like, artifact-based counterspells. Alright, we could be looking at a Kappa Cannoneer or level threat this turn after seeing that other Ancient Tomb. How does he know? How does he know? Let's get that out of the way. Alright, things are a little safer here. I'm going to get to the point where I can actually start activating an Urza Saga, which is good. I don't think I am interested in Smallpox at this time. I think my plan is, like, Urza Saga, probably Pithing Needle, Grindstone preemptively. I don't know. Currency converter is sort of interesting here. Yeah, yeah, we can probably take out a grindstone. That's probably fine. Yep. Another land drop. Not looking at being dead this turn, I don't think. Memory's fine. Probably going to have to Assassin's Trophy that, though. Man, it's a Thought Monitor in there, too. The Pithing Needle answers Grindstone. I could actually Smallpox on my turn. So that takes this card and this card. That makes this play significantly more awkward, though. Yeah, you can see what I'm drawing. Take your card. Ooh. Yeah. Yeah, I like this. Probably just has to be colorless mana here, unfortunately. Let's pick up the Pithing Needle. Put it on Grindstone. Sudden Edict away. The Emery. Play a land drop. Go to Punchies. Attack for 2. And then see how my opponent feels about me having another Urza Saga. I'm guessing the answer is not good. Oh wow, they just let me do it. I wasn't expecting to just get that card back. Okay. Sure. You like to name Urza Saga? Thespian Stage? Oh my gosh, they think I'm a Dark Depths deck. I don't think I draw this because it's very awkward with that Soul Guide Lantern chilling there. So I'm probably just gonna Assassin's Trophy my opponent's Urza Saga. My clock doesn't need to be that fast if I can just kill my opponent. So they can go to 7. And then I'm going to go ahead and just take out the Urza Saga now. Okay, it is the Metallic Rebuke that I expected earlier. That's fine. My opponent's Urza Saga token's significantly better than mine, though. I can't really do this in the face of this. Double Smallpox? Okay. I guess I just have to let my opponent make a bunch of things and then double Smallpox next turn cycle. Alright. Take your Urza Saga tokens. Pretty bad. Okay, yeah. I'll make mine as well. This is probably getting a Shadow Spear. It could get a Retrofitter Foundry pretty reasonably. Another Soul Guide Lantern, but you didn't really want to use the first to stop me from Urza Saga-ing. I think that was a bad play. I will absolutely just take a chump block here, as I am expecting to double Smallpox on my turn. I don't really know how I'm winning the game from here, though. I haven't been able to figure that out. Not having multiple Pithing Needles is rough. And, like, if I Smallpox twice, I still just leave my opponent with 8/8. Currency Converter the answer? Currency Converter might be the answer to make chump blockers. Retrofitter Foundry can do similar things, but Currency Converter does it without gumming up my mana. No, I can't. I have 3 black. I can only get rid of one of these. F. Okay. Loot? I think I'm done. Can't do 2 of these in the same turn. Can't get treasure. Alright, I think my back's against the wall here. I'm gonna throw in the towel. GG's. Final round opening hand is weird. So I play Mox Diamond, discard Urborg, Dark Ritual, Passageway Seer, get a basic forest. I think this works. And I like by playing the basic land, I'm not wastelandable, which I think is important for the first turn cycle here. Ox Diamond, discard Urborg, Dark Ritual Sexy Cousin, also named Dark Ritual, Passageway Seer. This is a devastating Force of Will opportunity, but it did not happen. Pick up Forest, play Forest, using my 1 remaining mana, cast a Life from the Loam. Hot damn. So now, since I have the initiative, this is now a 3/3. So, what are we facing down over there? Dragon. I don't think you're playing dragons. Oh my god, are they playing dragons? Yeah, they're playing dragons. What is... Oh my god, it is a flying haste... It is a flying haste creature that just took the initiative from me. Wild. Alright. I just want to find a Wasteland. Found an Urza Saga. That's not bad. Not what I wanted, but it's not bad. Let's attack with my 3/3. I swear, if there's main deck Pyrokinesis, I am going to lose my goddamn mind. Okay, cool. I will absolutely be foraging up this creature to make it better versus red removal. So Forge turns it into a 5/5. It'll turn into a 6/6 at my end step. Very nice. Loam back the Urza Saga. And play out the Urza Saga. Alright, 6/6 for the +1/+1 counter at end of turn. I have no idea what my opponent is doing over there. I like it. It's spicy. I don't know that it's good, but the jankometer, it's putting in some good readings here. Is it another one? Okay, they've untapped their mana. You can take the initiative first. Yeah, they have to go for the scry because their creatures aren't gonna race my 6/6 in combat if they just try to forge things up. And apologies if you're hearing this Gatorade bottle. It's a thing. It's happening. I have a wee bit of a headache right now. I'm trying to shake myself out of it. Yeah, chalices. A-okay. I will not dredge here. That's a thing. I don't know that it's a thing worth doing, but it's a thing. Trap my opponent. Puts them into this being a lethal-sized threat next turn. I think I just make Urza Saga construct tokens and try to end this game. Like, this is a 7/7 that is scaling more and more every turn. Urza Saga will be a 1, 2, 3, 4/4 attacking in. I think I just had a fast enough start that I just overrun my opponent. Even Devastator. I don't do this very often, but this is what we might be working with. This is... I'm recording this on the 29th. This was from the decklist dump from the 24th. So it is legitimately Dragon Stompy. Not very much removal. Something's wrong with the sideboard. This is just a user-submitted deck. This isn't from a 5/0 decklist dump. Well, this still might be what I'm up against, or very close to it. Big Engineer on Dragon? I don't think so. I think I'm interested in Assassin's Trophy as removal. I probably don't need Pithing Needle. That can go for the first one of those. I don't really know from here. Like, legitimately, Plague Engineer on Dragon is not a total crazy person thing. That Shivan Devastator could just be a one-of that my opponent is trying, and this is just, like, regular mono-red, like, Moon Stompy. In which case, Plague Engineer for Goblins is pretty good. I'm gonna get rid of my Hymn to Tourach when I'm on the draw. I think I want him when I'm on the play, though. That just gives me the opportunity to play these at low cost, and I can think about putting one more of these into the mana base over one black source since I'm getting rid of a bunch of Hymn to Tourach. I don't know about this one. This has single black with 2 double black cards. This enters tapped, so I can't use it to Thoughtseize on turn 1. That one's going back. I'm not happy with this. I'll probably keep it on 6, getting rid of the Dark Ritual. I just don't have anything to do with it right now. And the plan is turn 1, Thoughtseize a thing, turn 2, Sudden Edict a thing, turn 3 and beyond, activate Urza Saga with a little bit of ability to deviate from that. I keep Pitch Dark Ritual. Pitching Dark Ritual will make some of my top decks, like the Passageway Seers and Liliana, worse. Alright. How bad is it? Yeah, legit. It is true Dragon Stompy. There comes a target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, 3 damage to that player. Sure. So I have some options for my turn. It's pretty tempting to just Wasteland my opponent and take a little bit of damage from the Thunderbreak Regent. Not anymore. Now I just take their card and then Smallpox away this land and this creature next turn. Get him. Oh, I got. So the scary scenario is the scenario where my opponent just top decks another creature here. But we dodged that. And I'm totally game for Smallpox here. This decision's really tough. I just want to get rid of the Sudden Edict and keep all my mana. I want all three of these for different reasons. Like, this is another basic to better play around Blood Moon. Get rid of my Bayou here. Like, this lets me better play around Blood Moon. This lets me take out my opponent's next land drop. This is an eventual win condition. Did you draw a Shivan Devastator to punish me? Oh no, it's a Chalice. Yeah, that's totally fine. Ooh. Urza Saga is the best short-term play. Verdant Catacombs getting a forest might be a better long-term play. I think I don't want to play Urza Saga here. Like, it lets me be the aggressor in the short term, but my opponent's things are kind of scary, and I'd rather just have greater flexibility. I'll Wasteland that to keep them from playing things, I think. Yeah. Let's just keep my opponent from top decking a big dumb dragon for a little while longer. Then next turn, I'll play Urborg. The following turn, I have Passageway Seer. I am going to go ahead and preemptively pull a forest from my deck. I am very confident that I want it. Dark Ritual would be good, but it is not as of right now. Let's pass the turn. We're hoping to dodge a dragon for one more turn, and then play Passageway Seer with Urza Saga backup. Another land drop. We dodge. We did not dodge. I don't know this card. Guard a card if you do draw a card. Add 2 mana for dragons. The -7 is scary, but that should not get there. Yeah, and this is if you discard, you draw a card, so my opponent doesn't actually get a card there. Oh, Sudden Edict is a fantastic draw, because that means that I can get the next blocker out of the way that could, like, protect that Planeswalker. Gets me the final swamp from my deck, and we'll scale up our power at end of turn. Okay. It's a dragon. 5 mana dragon. Okay. That's a 4/4 with haste. That will take the initiative. I will take it right back, but that probably means that I don't get to kill the Sarkhan in this turn cycle. I kill Sarkhan later. It's fine. Like, Sarkhan can be at any loyalty number other than 7 without me caring about Sarkhan. Alright. Play land drop. Go to combat. Attack you. Bring you to 16. Again, to play around red removal. I will just forge up my creature. I don't think I have to Sudden Edict immediately. I will, like, I'm 100% doing that in this turn cycle. But you don't really have to worry about flash things in red. 4 mana. This one does not have haste. I will take that opportunity to Sudden Edict away the Shivan Devastator. And I don't think I care about this card. Like, the biggest thing that it's doing is protecting this Planeswalker, because I can't let my opponent get, what is it, 4 or 5/5 dragons. That is not acceptable. Alright, make a dude. It's a 1/1. Wrap my opponent. Drain them for 5. Oh, do I also just have Pithing Needle as a thing that I can do? Oh, I have so many things here that I can do. Make a creature. I don't have Pithing Needle. Get a Retrofitter Foundry. How much damage is this? 3 damage. I am willing to take a Lightning Bolt here, I think. I'm willing to take a Lightning Bolt here. I'm about to just gain 6 back. Alright. So I am going to kill this Planeswalker. Okay, yeah, sure. Finishing the thought, I was going to kill the Planeswalker. I think my opponent is more or less dead next turn, the vast majority of the time anyway, so just making sure that that can't loot them to something better, or that, oops, I dragoned can't exactly happen. Alright, so that brings us to the end of the league with a 2-3 finish, which I think honestly is pretty good for Loam Pox, like especially since we did face the initiative. I feel like this is a reasonable deck that is just a step or two behind the top of the metagame in terms of power level. There's good synergy here, but even with like the amount of tuning that this deck has gone through on like my channel and Brian's channel, I still feel like it's not quite there, despite the fact that I just adore playing this deck. So, for example, playing Smallpox in your deck that wants a persistent Plague Engineer in post sideboard games is awkward. Playing Smallpox in your deck where, like, you do want to have an initiative creature that you can ride to victory is awkward. Similarly, in the blue version that we initially looked at, like, oh, I got my Uro into play. Oh, now I have to Smallpox it away as a removal spell, and that's going to eat a lot of my graveyard resources, making my life from the Loams worse in the future. I think the slight awkwardness in the deck building, plus the low speed of this, is going to keep Loam Pox, or really any sort of Pox, from being super viable, but I enjoy playing this a lot, and I think this is a great FNM level deck, or a great league deck, where you're looking to have a good time. You will have this with this deck list, like you will still certainly win games, but, you know, maybe don't sign up for the 500-person event playing Loam Pox if you're trying to maximize your chances to win. In terms of changes, I don't know that I have any major changes. I found myself wanting Shadow Spear a couple times throughout this league for the lifelink, but in theory, some amount of that lifelink stuff should be covered by this card, which is why I didn't play it in the first place. So I don't know that I would make any major changes in playing another immediate league. Thumbs up from me in terms of fun. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, click the like button on the way out. It really helps me out a lot. And if you're regularly watching, please consider doing something to support the channel, be it joining my Discord, joining my Patreon, or doing a donation deck list of some kind. I hope you have a great rest of the day. See ya!